So I did this video, I think it was probably a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, where I got to talking about Sephiroth and how I want him to remain the big bad. I want him to not be redeemed and all that. And a lot of you all, it wasn't bad comments, but a lot of you all were like, hey, he could totally be redeemed or whatever. So I got to thinking about a scenario where that could possibly happen, right? But then it got me thinking more about Jenova and kind of how I think about the character in the OG game and then the character in Remake. And so Jenova in the OG game was powerful and controlling and hypnotic and all that other kind of stuff. But by the end of the game, I was kind of left with a feeling, and I'm not the only one, who was just like, well, Jenova's just kind of like the rocket launcher, right? Sephiroth's the one firing the rockets. He's using her power by the end of it. He is totally in control, totally wiped. But what if in Remake they're going a slightly different route with that, like expounding more on the role of Jenova? I think it's possible. And a lot of you all, I've had some comments with you all in DMs and stuff, and a lot of you all kind of seem to think it's possible as well. So first off, I think it's very important that we recognize the new version of Jenova for Remake that we fight in the Shinra Tower. Of course, that fight doesn't happen, right? The same exact fight that happens right there in Remake doesn't happen in the original, right? Jenova Dreamweaver. So think about what Dreamweaver is, and not like the web design software, right, from Adobe. Not Adobe Dreamweaver, Jenova Dreamweaver. I think there's a lot to be said about that, because it's at that point when you fight Jenova Dreamweaver, when they introduce that character, that version of her into the game, that things start to change heavily, right? The things heavily start to change, namely that ending. So I propose this theory. What if Jenova Dreamweaver... Now, I still think that the version of Sephiroth you see on the highway is a mash. I've said from the beginning, it's a mashup of... It's an S clone being controlled by Jenova and Sephiroth at the same time. It's like a mashup. Every time there's a Jenova clone and Sephiroth's controlling him, it's always like a murky kind of area, right? Everybody's got their own theories on what that might be. We might all be kind of right. We might all be totally wrong. Who knows? But my thing is, it's Jenova, her corporeal form, creating a Sephiroth clone and Sephiroth controlling it. At the base explanation, that's what I feel like it is. Jenova Dreamweaver, the part that is Jenova Dreamweaver, I feel like is what creates the whole realm of the Whispers, right? It goes into the whole illusion of that end of the game with the Whispers and showing them the future and everything, and presenting a path for Cloud and company to essentially destroy the Whispers, destroy Fate, and leave a path open for her son to continue her work without the interference of the planet and the Cetra that live within the planet and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like her final middle finger to the Cetra that live within inside the planet. That's one take. As far as her illusionary powers, she is like this great liar, this great deceiver, right? She can show you things. That's how she battled the Cetra. She can show you things. She can make things that aren't real and mess with your mind. And you can take it back to all the points where Cloud sees Sephiroth, but really it's just a person in a black cloak or whatever. That's the Dreamweaver stuff messing with Cloud in his current state. You could look at it that way. Jenova's illusionary powers kind of wipe a swath of deception across the entire game, right? You experience that as the character, and as the player, you're like, oh, well, what's going on here? What's all this? You could explain it away as, Jenova Dreamweaver, her effect, what she does, what she brings to the table. So I do think she creates the whole mess at the end of the game. She tricks the party, her and Sephiroth. I don't want to take the gravity away from what Sephiroth is doing. He is still the big bad. He is the major baddie. And at the end of the day, he will still be the final thing you have to defeat, in my opinion. Or if you're someone who wants to think that Sephiroth could be redeemed by the end of the game, then we go a different route. Then we look into this whole thing, like once you defeat Savior Sephiroth, however you want to look at that, interpret like that translation as it came across. Some people say it's supposed to be Savior Sephiroth. Some people hold it's Safer Sephiroth. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I tend to lean toward the side that thinks it's Savior Sephiroth. It's supposed to be that. It makes jense, right? If you take it at that point, after you beat him, you could fight this final form of Jenova, like this Jenova Pure or Jenova Original or Jenova OG or something like that, where it's her in her original form, whatever that might have been, and you finally destroy Jenova and wipe her out of existence, out of the live stream and all this other kind of stuff. I think that could be a way they go if they decide to redeem Sephiroth, but I still hold to that. I think he should not be redeemed. I think he's the ultimate evil in the story. I think he's past the point of redemption, but I don't know. I mean, they could do that. If they go that route, I'm open for it. I'm open for the new story, whatever route they want to go. I wanted to address that and talk about that because it did bring up some interesting stuff, right? So, if you look at how Sephiroth fell into madness, right? How he fell into madness. If you look at the steps that happened from him seeing something, him being exposed to something, and then him learning the truth from Genesis and Crisis Core, or him just reading the books in OG and the Shinra basement, the library, reading all this research about him and everything. How did Cloud's things start? How did his descent into madness start? It began with some little pushing, some little cues from Sephiroth, some little, oh, you might be this, you might not be this. It could be this, it could be that. You know, it was prodding and mental stuff from Sephiroth that made that start to happen. So I feel like there is a case to be made that the same thing happened to Sephiroth. Jenova started to speak to Sephiroth. That could be something they use to explain a path to redeem Sephiroth. I think what he did with Cloud's family and him and Tifa's village and her dad and all that, her Cloud's mom, not his whole family as far as we know, but the village and all this other stuff, you know, that doesn't get forgiven, right? But you could send him out on a boat to where he helps, you know, at the end he breaks the spell or whatever. The end, however you'd want to wrap that up, is kind of an afterthought as far as the journey goes. Sephiroth, when he found out the truth, it was the slow descent. He didn't instantly turn evil. It was the slow descent into madness. It was slowly him like giving in basically to Jenova, and probably the voices in his head or whatever, you know, was her speaking to him and creating this grand illusion. We don't know what he saw when he burned Cloud's village to the ground. We don't know what was going on. You know, it could have been this great illusion created by Jenova where he, you know, thought he was really fighting enemies, like, or he was convinced that these people were the real enemies and he was having to take them out. You know, when he had to go get Mother from the reactor and he came back to get Mother and all this other kind of stuff in the Shinra building. So it all goes back, if this happens, it all goes back to the importance of Jenova Dreamweaver. That is a big point. They put that in Remake for a reason. Creating illusions, seeing things that aren't there. It's like great. The greatest deception is to make someone see something that isn't real, to make them do what you want. And if you think about the term Dreamweaver, it's like creating this idyllic scenario for whoever is viewing the dream, basically, right? Whoever you're trying to influence or whoever you're trying to manipulate. It's this grand manipulation. And she is a master manipulator, and that's how she was able to take it to the Cetra like she did, and almost destroy the planet. The calamity from the sky. I mean, so that is one route they could go. And so I've been thinking a little bit about it, and I thought that would be interesting to throw at you all tonight. But what do you all think? I think if they go that route with trying to redeem Sephiroth, it has to be because of Jenova and her illusionary abilities, her deceptive, manipulative abilities. Because if you take that away, it's just Sephiroth being evil on his own accord and like killing villages and murdering villages of innocent people, and you can't redeem that. So they would have to do it in some way to where you use the Jenova Dreamweaver thing, right? I think that's a cool way they could go. Like I said, whatever they decide to do, I'm open to it. I'm here for the ride. I just want them to take me on a fun ride, enjoy it, throw me some curveballs, all that kind of stuff. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is a video and an idea and a theory born from conversations with all of you that I've had. So this isn't something I just thought up on my own. I thought about this as the more of you all came to me and were like, man, I really just hope they redeem Sephiroth. I would love to see that. Who knows? Who knows? I'm not a big fan of that, but if they do it, I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Just take me on a ride. Tell me a good story, So anyway, y'all have a great night. Keep rocking. More content coming all week, of course. And if y'all like that video, throw a like on there. Subscribe to the channel. The channel's growing. Appreciate you all. Shout out to all of my members that have signed up for the channel. My latest, Thea Ulrich, thank you so much for being a member on the channel. We got the studio update went up today for YouTube members. So I appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you all, helping me keep this thing going and keep this ball rolling. So y'all have a great night. Be safe out there. Be good to each other. And I will see you in the next video.